And on a Thursday at this time, we get to talk with our good friend Bob Holt, sports writer extraordinaire for the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Joins us every Thursday, usually about now, and we always appreciate his very valuable time. Bob, happy close to weekend with the basketball tournament starting. I mean, I know we're all excited just to have it this year, and it feels like it's a tournament that could be somewhat wide open, and there's some expectations surrounding Arkansas that I haven't felt really in a long time.
Yeah, Arkansas, doing a lot of things late in the season that they hadn't done since the 1990s. Their highest seed since '95 when they were defending champs, and obviously anything can happen in the tournament, but you got to feel like with the way Arkansas played the latter part of the season and the depth and the versatility they've been showing, and that, they have a good shot to make a run. And, Arkansas hadn't been in the Sweet 16 since '96, which is really hard to believe. But that's another thing, obviously, the fans would like to, that's another one of those late '90 things that fans would like to see this team do.
Well, in order to get there, you got to win a couple of games. And I think a lot of us, I've almost already looked past Colgate, and that's probably not fair to Colgate because I just don't feel that they played anybody this year. They've got guys that have played in the NCAA tournament, and they have. I know Eric Musselman compared Jordan Burns' shooting range to Damian Lillard, so that's impressive. But it feels like, I don't know. I mean, they do not have the ability to score in all the ways that Arkansas does, and I just don't see Colgate as that much of a threat.
Well, yeah, I mean, Arkansas, obviously, there's a reason Arkansas is a 3 seed and Colgate's a 14 seed, and, Colgate's a bit of a mystery because they played strictly Patriot League teams this year. I think a couple of Patriot League teams played outside the league, but I think for safety reasons, they wanted to stay within their league, and then even within the league, they're very restrictive. They only played, I think it was Army, Navy, and Boston University, and then they played a couple extra teams, Bucknell and Loyola, Maryland, in their tournament, which both those games were at their place. They didn't have the tournament at their place. The tournament's the higher seeded team got to host, but so, normally Colgate would play some Power 5, kind of like, a couple of years ago they beat Cincinnati, they lost to Syracuse, they gave Tennessee a really tough game in the NCAA tournament 2 years ago as a 15 seed. That was a 77-70 win for Tennessee, but it was a 3-point game with less than 2 minutes to play. So, yeah, Colgate's, it's hard to evaluate them because, like I said, they play such a limited schedule. That being said, they're hitting 40% of their threes. They're leading the nation in 3-point defense. But you got to look at, the 3-point shooting of those teams they played wasn't the greatest. They average over 86 points a game. But I don't think they're going to want to play at that kind of pace against Arkansas because, frankly, they just don't have the athletes that Arkansas does. But, Arkansas's got to take this game seriously because, if Colgate comes out hot and Arkansas falls behind, they could feel the pressure. And, you got to get by this first one. Nolan Richardson and probably a lot of other coaches, I said the toughest one to win is the tournament is that first one.
Well, it seems they've taken every opponent that they've played this year seriously, and the way that Muss and the coaching staff has prepared them. He's likened it to exactly the way he prepared NBA players, and that this group of players has certainly understood that this is a little different than most college teams prepare their players. So I don't think Colgate's a threat in the idea that the team wouldn't take them seriously. That's the task right in front of them. They've been good at that all year. I think when you look to the second round, though, let's say you get there and you face a team in either Texas Tech or Utah State that has a completely different way to play than Arkansas does, or Colgate, because these are slow you down, defensive-oriented teams. And I think that would be a really interesting matchup of totally different styles, no matter who it is you face.
Yeah, if it does come to that, Arkansas played Texas Tech a couple of years ago. That's when Mike Anderson was still a coach, and they had a very competitive game out in Lubbock, and Arkansas got beat. I think it was by 3. And of course, Chris Beard used to coach at UALR. And then Utah State, Eric, faced them when he was at Nevada.
They had some issues. You remember some of that stuff with those two coaching staffs? There was some stuff that happened there 2 years ago.
You talking about which game? You talking about Utah State and Nevada?
That's right. Yeah, there was a Utah State beat Nevada on their home floor, and there was something that happened with the coaching staffs in the handshake line. I think one of the Utah State coaches kept dropping F-bombs on the Nevada coaching staff. If I remember the video from it later, so that would make that matchup even more interesting, just based upon the history of the two staffs.
I remember there was something between Nevada and somebody that beat them.
It was Utah State.
It got a lot of attention. I honestly couldn't remember it. Could have told you if it was Utah State or UNLV or who that was. But yeah, if that was it, you're right about that. That would obviously add to the game. I think it's cool. It's a cool matchup either way. But first Arkansas got to get by Colgate. I think it's interesting that you see some of the pundits or whatever commentators picking Colgate. We know there's going to be some upsets. I think that should just give Eric and his guys some more motivation to say, hey, some of these guys are picking, Colgate to beat us, or something. So that could be interesting. But Eric, that's interesting. He's been in the tournament as a player, as an assistant coach with two different schools, and now as a head coach with two different schools. So you think about Eric having a pro background, which he does in coaching. Obviously, coached a lot of years in professional basketball, both in the NBA and CBA and D League and G League, else. But he's really carved out a nice career in college, also.
Bob Holt joining us here on Halftime. Bob, how much of a difference do you think Jalen Williams returned to the lineup, returned to the rotation, however he's used tomorrow against Colgate? How big of an impact do you think Jalen Williams will have on this basketball team?
I think he can have a big impact. You do wonder a little bit, or at least I do, about not playing for a couple weeks. He missed 4 games, I guess it was. And but I've seen video of him. They posted some video. I guess there's the Indianapolis AAA team. Phil probably knows that. The ball field there, the stadium. That's one area they're letting players get out and kind of have some fun. Toss the football around, play badminton, whatever. And they showed Jalen Williams making a pretty long pass. I think it was behind his back, if I saw the video right. And Santa was kind of joking about, if you keep posting, I'm going to come after it. I think Eric said, hey, you can't have him, coach, or something. And Eric's posted some photos with Jalen. So, and Moses Moody said the other day that Jalen was basically looking like his old self. So that's all good news for Arkansas. He seems to be happy and healthy and ready to go. And he can make a big difference because he's a very physical player. And, Colgate, their strength is their guards, but they have a 6'10" starter and a 6'11" kid that comes off the bench. They had a pretty good freshman year. So they've got some size. And, Jalen's a very physical presence inside, and he really played well down the stretch. So, I think he can make a big difference being back. Eric talked about how much they missed him against LSU when they lost that game the other day.
Prior to getting you on, we were having this conversation talking about the past national champions and current teams right now that have 2 guards that could potentially go to the NBA, and those 2 guards being the centerpiece for this team to really make a run in this NCAA tournament. And Phil brought up the point, most national championship teams have had 2 guards that have went to the NBA. And I just want to pose this question to you. We know Moses Moody, unless barring some catastrophe, is going to be a top 10 lottery draft pick in this upcoming NBA draft if he so chooses to. Who would be the second guard you think may have a pretty successful pro career? Would you look at Devo Davis? Would you look at a Jalen Tate, J.D. Note? Who's that second guard that could possibly find his way to an NBA career?
Well, that's an interesting question. Tate's 6'6", you like that size, but he's an older guy. J.D. Note has a lot of upside, but he's only 6'1". I'd probably say Devo because he's 6'3", but he rebounds so well for his size. Of course, he's just a freshman, so he's got a long way to go. But just off the top of my head, if you were to say, in 10 years, which one of these guys would have the best shot to maybe stick in the NBA, I think I'd probably have to go with Devo. But of course, he's got a high ceiling because he's just starting off, and those other 2 guys are a little older. But I guess I like Devo's combination of having some decent size and just he just plays bigger than 6'3".
Yeah, we've talked a lot about our brackets these past few days, and we got to know, because we know if Bob puts it on paper, Phil and Maddie, if Bob puts it on paper, it's gospel. So who's in Bob Holt's Final Four?
Well, actually, I don't fill out a bracket anymore because I've done so horrible in the past.
Fair enough.
Exercise. I'm being totally serious. I don't do a bracket. It's just an exercise in futility. It just reminds me how bad I've done. I definitely think it's like I would put them in there. The other ones I get confused about who's in everybody's region. I mean, I know Baylor's obviously in Arkansas's region. I know Illinois is another number one, and like Michigan. But I don't think it'll be all number ones because maybe that's happened before, but it's really, really rare. Wouldn't be shocked to see like a 7 seed or an 11 seed, get in there. Maybe there's an 8-9 upset, the number one or something. But yeah, honestly, I don't even do a bracket. I haven't done a bracket for several years because it just reminds me of how much how bad I am at it.
Bob, when's the last time the Missouri Tigers made the Final Four?
That would be never.
Oh, I wasn't even sure of that, to be honest. I wasn't doing that as a troll. I just thought he did know the answer, and he knew it pretty quickly. Do you still, when you watch the NCAA tournament, and I know you can't look at it this way when you're covering Missouri against Arkansas, but when you watch Mizzou, let's say they're playing Oklahoma, you're a Mizzou grad. You still Is there part of you that still pulls for Missouri in those games?
Oh yeah, I mean, as long as it's not Missouri playing Arkansas or something, or outwardly. But yeah, it'd be nice to see Missouri win. They have been to the Elite Eight 3 times. Norm Stewart, 1976. Remember the last year of the undefeated team, Indiana. They beat Michigan in the final, and Michigan beat Missouri. I want to say it was in Lubbock of all places. I think it was the Midwest Regional Final. And then, the former Mizzou coach is doing so great with Utah in the NBA right now. His name escapes me. And the guy Mike Anderson replaced. He took Missouri to Elite Eight. They lost to Oklahoma one year, and then Mike Anderson took Missouri to Elite Eight, and they lost to UConn. They'd upset Memphis. So yeah, they've been there 3 times. Or actually, that's 4, right? Yeah, and Owen Norton did it again in '94 with that team that Arkansas drilled. I think it was 120-68. The dedication game in Walton Arena. That Missouri team went 14 on the Big Eight, got the number 1 seed, lost to Arizona in the Elite Eight in the West. So they would have had a rematch in Charlotte. So yeah, Missouri's been to the Elite Eight 4 times.
Okay. Well, I knew you'd know the answer, Bob, because you got a mind like a Venus flytrap, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate your time. Thanks as always.
Okay, I'm sure everybody appreciated that Missouri basketball history lesson.
I think they like the little awkward moment there of him saying, yeah, they've actually never made it, because today is Awkward Moments Day, according to my special hashtag calendar that I use. So maybe we can have a little awkward silence at some point here on this radio program. Wouldn't that be awkward? Not awkward if you have sleep apnea and you get a hold of Dr. Bo Sparkman at Family Dental Care of Fort Smith, because it's extremely awkward every time your wife says, get rid of the CPAP. I hate this noise. I hate we got to clean it all the time, and I can't sleep next to you anymore. So that's Dr. Bo Sparkman at Family Dental Care of Fort Smith. They have a special custom dental appliance that will get rid of that CPAP machine and help you with your sleep apnea. The phone number, 479-785-1419. 479-785-1419. Call for an appointment today. Dr. Bo Sparkman and Family Dental Care of Fort Smith.